Hey everybody, this is Carrie Clark with SpeechAndLanguageKids.com. This is part 3 of my video series on organizing and decluttering your speech therapy space. This is part of the overall video series of productivity hacks for speech therapists. So without further ado, let's jump right in with some overall productivity hacks for organizing and decluttering your space. If you haven't already watched parts 1 and 2 of this video series, you can watch those on the website by clicking on the link below the video if you're on YouTube, or just scrolling back if you're already on the webpage. Here is part 3, productivity hacks. The first hack that I want to talk about is organizing student folders. I recommend that each of your students has a folder that you keep in a box, such as this, next to your door. When the students come in, you should train them that their first job is to come and find their folder with their name on it and bring it to the table and sit down. Now, what I recommend you have in this folder are a couple of things. First, keep your students' data sheets in each folder. If it's a data collection day, let your students know and have them take their data sheet out and give it to you. That way, they're doing the setup for your speech therapy session. All you have to do is get your materials ready. They're bringing you the data sheets while they sit down. Now, you can download my data sheet by following that button at the bottom of the below the video, or by following the link to go back to my page, which has the button. And so you have their data sheet in here. This helps you when it comes time to do IEPs. You can just pull out their folder, check their data sheet, and make sure that you have everything on there you need. And then the other thing that I recommend you have in the folder is this sheet, if you can see this, which is their speech successes page. Now, on this page, you should write all of the things, all of the skills that that child has mastered toward their goal. So these are going to be the little steps along the way. So for this student, he has a goal for K and G. So I have written on here all of the K sounds, K words that he is able to produce correctly. This serves as a good warm-up for him when he walks into speech. So he comes in, sits down at the table, says his words, the ones that you know he can say independently. That gives him a good warm-up, gets him ready to go, and you're not wasting time during therapy getting set up. This is especially helpful if you have back-to-back sessions, like I know a lot of you do. So you have them come in, do their independent work here. The other cool thing about this worksheet is that you can just make a photocopy of this and send it home as homework. So I've written instructions on here for parents that just basically says, have your child do this just the way that I've written. And when you are looking for an idea to send home for homework, you just send home the list of things that you know they can do correctly, so that they're practicing that sound over and over again the correct way. You don't want them to take something home that they can't do independently yet, because they might not do it correctly, and the parent might not know how to prompt them to get the correct production, so then they would just be doing the incorrect production over and over again at home, and that's not helpful. So put things on this page that the child is able to do independently, and this serves as a warm-up and homework that you can send home super easily. The other thing that you can do is have things in here that need to go home, or worksheets that you guys are working on in speech. This is one of my worksheets from my articulation program, so you can see this is the words the child is to say, and there are instructions for the parents up here. So if you have something like this that just needs to go home, or if this is what you're working from in speech therapy, you have all of their materials right there together. So I highly recommend that each of your students has their own folder. You get this set up when they come in, and then you train them on how to go to the basket, get their folder, sit down and start their independent work, and that's going to make your speech therapy sessions run much more smoothly. Okay, so what do you do if you have a very small therapy space? I know most of you are working out of closets, so let me give you some hacks for small therapy space organizing. Okay, so let's talk about your small space. You may need to reconsider how the zones are going to look for you. So you're still going to have all 4 zones, and the same things are going to be in them, but you want to rethink how you're going to organize them. So for you, let's say that your table and your desk are the same thing. You don't have a separate therapy space and workspace. Everything happens at your table. So for you, your zones 1 and 2 may be in tubs like this instead of on shelves like this. This is my zone 1. Remember, 1 being right next to your therapy space. But maybe your zone 1 is in a tub. And I like these stacking tubs because you can change them out to change what the space is. So when you're in work mode and doing your planning, you have your planning bucket, your zone 2 up. And when you are moving on to therapy, then you put your zone 1 bucket on top, and then you're ready to do therapy. So you can see in my zone 2 bucket, I have my inbox that has all of my papers that need to be dealt with. I have that going in there. I also have my pens and some paper and anything that I will need for planning, all right here in this one tub. Now, if I switch it out and put the other one on top, in here, I have all my therapy supplies that I need on a regular basis when I'm in therapy. So I have colored pencils, scissors, craft supplies in here. I have a couple little games that I use for therapy quite often. I have my set of articulation cards, and this is another good one for a small space. I have every articulation card for the English language all right here in this one tub. So they are smaller cards, so they'll fit into this bead box. I also have my articulation screener, my flashcards for individual sounds. I have everything that I need right in here in this one tub. You can download my small articulation cards like this. I will provide a link below this video so you can download those as well if you would like. That is available in my store. So you can have smaller articulation cards that will fit nicely in here. And then also switch out some of your large games for file folder games. Just use a regular file folder. Put the game inside, use Velcro pieces so everything sticks together. Then you just fold it up and stick it in here and you have a whole bunch of games in a very small little space. I will also put a link for my free file folder game downloads on my website as well. So you can find that below this video also. So that's what I recommend for kind of keeping your zones still separate but in the same space. You can switch them out, switch which bucket is on top. The next tip I want to give you for small spaces, if you have your zone 3, which remember is your student access storage, if you have that pretty close to your therapy space and it's becoming distracting, take a curtain like I have here. This is actually just a blanket, but take a curtain and just lay it across those shelves so that the students can't see what's inside. They can still get to it when they need to, but it's not going to be distracting when you're doing your therapy sessions. The other tip that I have for you is for your zone 4, which is your zone that you have your personal stuff, your stories that you don't want the kids getting into. See if you can have your office or your school mount some shelves up high. So if I had a shelf right there, if I had a shelf right there on that wall, I could keep things up where I could reach them, but the students couldn't. And that way it's out of the way, but it's still in the same space. So there's some ideas for how you can organize your small therapy space. All right, the third hack I have for you is to declutter your space daily. I highly recommend that the first thing you do when you walk in your office in the morning is to declutter. Go through and make sure that everything is back in its place. If you have things that need to be dealt with, instead of leaving them in piles around your office, put them in your to-do bin and make sure that everything has a place. This will make you feel very organized and kind of help you keep calm throughout the rest of the day. Have you ever walked into your office and then just gone, oh my gosh, there's so much to do because you just have piles everywhere? Just start with 5 minutes at the beginning of every day, organize, clean up, make sure everything's in its place. I promise you, you will feel so much better and will be very productive throughout the rest of your day. The next hack I have for you is to use Evernote to organize your resources. Okay, this is my Evernote program. Now, Evernote is a web-based program that helps you store and organize information and resources and documents and all kinds of good stuff. So you can download this. I'll have a link below the video, but you can download Evernote and you can have an app on your computer or a program running on your computer where you can save things. You can also use it on the internet through your internet browser, and you can download an app for your iPhone, your tablet, so you can have all of your resources on every device that you have and between computers. So you can, if you're out in public, you can go log on to a computer, log into your Evernote file, and have access to your files. So I highly recommend using this kind of program for organizing your resources and storing them, especially things like conference notes or handouts or things that normally would just go in a file cabinet and then you would never be able to find them again because you couldn't remember where you filed them. If you use Evernote, you can search for everything, including the text of a document. So for example, okay, this is just a folder that I started called Speech and Language Resources. You can see I have all kinds of other folders over here that I have been using personally, but I just did this one as a demo for you guys here today. So I go into my folder for Speech and Language Resources, and I have all of these different all of these different notes in here that I've taken. So this one is a picture I took. I took this with my phone using the Evernote app on my iPhone. And I took a picture of this handout that I got at a conference that I thought was really helpful for selective mutism. So I made a title up here of what it was and just took the picture, saved it. It was really fast. And then I was able to recycle that paper and not have to have that taking up space in my office. Now, the cool thing about this is if I am, let's say I have like 50 notes in here because I put everything I find in here, and I have a kiddo who comes in with selective mutism, and I go, oh my gosh, I don't even remember what to do about selective mutism. I can type in mutism into the search, and look, it found the word mutism within the document. So even if I hadn't titled it, it still would have found this for me. You can just take pictures, stick it in there, and it will bring it up the next time that you have a child with mutism or whatever else the thing is. Apparently I also have another note. Oh, I have some ICD-9 diagnosis codes. Mutism is in there as well. So you can see this search feature works really well. So that's one way you can do it. You can take pictures of documents, handouts, anything that you want, and then you can print these out later as well. So there's that. I also found that you can put PDF documents in here. So this is my speech and language therapy guide that you can buy on my website. So let's say you bought this guide on my website. Instead of saving it on the computer where you only have it on that one computer, you can save it on your Evernote file and then open it on any of your devices. So you can open it on your iPad and flip to the right worksheet or activity that you're wanting to do. You can open it right here in the document on your computer. There's some checklists for developmental skills. You can just kind of go through and see what it is that you're looking for and what you need. So you can have PDFs that you save in here. This is also really good if you are working or if you are getting documents and handouts and activities from Teachers Pay Teachers. You can save those right in here, and then they're searchable, so you can search for that that document that you downloaded from Teachers Pay Teachers instead of, again, trying to figure out where you saved it. So there's that. You can just take generic notes. So I just wrote apraxia at the top of this one, and then you have a note, or you have an idea and you write it down, or you hear something good, you write it down. Just keep a running file of all of the different ideas you have. Another thing you can do is you can record audio. You can especially do this with the iPhone. That's what I used for this particular one. Let's say you're at an autism conference and you want to record what that person is saying. Let's see if it'll play. So this is just my recording that I picked up on my phone from a conference of autism. I don't think it's going to play right now, but you can record audio and then you can listen to it later or hold on to that however you want to do. So those are just a couple different ideas of how you can use Evernote to organize your resources. I think this is a fantastic idea. I use Evernote all the time and it keeps me so organized. So I highly recommend you use this instead of keeping file after file cabinet of ridiculously unorganized papers, because that's what I was doing before and it doesn't work. So this way you can have everything organized and searchable so that you can find things quickly and easily and not waste a lot of time searching through your documents. Okay, so what do you do if you're a traveling therapist and you go to multiple schools, or you go all around town, or you're pretty much just driving all day long? If that's the case, I'm sorry. No, I had that job for a while and it can be really hard to organize your materials. I actually enjoyed the driving time, but I know that some people don't. So this is how you can organize your materials to make being a traveling therapist more easy. So what I would do is I would have tubs. Here are our tubs again. These are my stacking tubs. I would have tubs and I would organize your materials by age group or by type of therapy. Whatever you see a lot of, try to group some categories of materials together. So like here I've grouped toys for younger kids and games for older kids. So I have two different tubs for that. Now maybe you have a lot of artic and then a lot of language. You could do a tub for language activities and a tub for artic activities. But this is kind of a general, just sort it by the groups that you see the most. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have a separate bag that's going to be your take with you bag. This is mine right now. What actually works really well for this is diaper bags because they have a lot of pockets, so you can put your pens and your pencils and your tape recorder and your flashlight, I don't know, whatever else you need. And then in this bag, you're going to want some of the stuff that you use with pretty much every kid or a lot of your kids. So this is my Arctic card set again. I have that poked in here, and I have some file folder games. If I can pull them out. This is not the best bag for this. I have some file folder games, so you can have a bunch of those put together. I recommend that you try to take with you materials that you can use with multiple types of different kids, different kinds of therapy, that kind of thing. I also have some pens and pencils in here. I may put my data notebook in here. Whatever you typically use with a lot of your kids, have that in one bag. And then you go to your tubs before you leave for the day, or you can have your tubs in your car and go to them when you get to the school that you're going to, and pull out 1 or 2 things that are going to be your novel item for that session or for that day. So let's say you have this in your office, and before you leave your office in the morning, you pick 2 things, and those are the things you're going to use for everybody all day long. So try to think of things that are going to be able to be used for different kids, for different types of interests, and for different types of therapy. So maybe I would say, well, I'm going to need something for the younger kids. Boy, we haven't used this bee in a while, so we'll stick the bee in the bag. I don't think the bee's going to fit in this bag. You need a bigger bag than this. So you put the bee in the bag, or, you know, under your arm, whatever. And then for my older kids I'm seeing today, we'll play the Winnie the Pooh card game. And we'll stick that in there, and I can work on all their goals while we play Winnie the Pooh cards. So you just have 2 things that are going to be your novel items, and those are going to be the things that are going to get the kid excited to come play with you. Like, oh, I have a new game today. And then you just cycle through those as you go based on whatever materials you have. So one day you're doing Winnie the Pooh, the next day you're doing something else, but maybe Winnie the Pooh comes back, or maybe you do Winnie the Pooh for a whole week because those kids really like it and they need the repetition. Whatever you want to do. So that way you're picking new things each day, putting them in your bag, taking it with you, and then you have everything that you need right there in your bag, and that's going to stay in there forever. Well, not forever, for the duration of your therapy. All right, so that's my idea for traveling therapists. Try to get things that are compact and like travel size games. I have a ton of travel size games from when I was doing travel therapy, and just kind of cycle those things through and do the best you can. All right, folks, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this Productivity Hacks for Speech Therapists first video in the series, all about organizing and decluttering. I hope you found some interesting things in here and some things that will help you with your practice. Please go ahead and download the free worksheets and visuals that I showed you in the episode today. You can get all of those by clicking on the download button below this video, or there will also be if you're on YouTube, you can follow the link back to my webpage, and that will give you that download option underneath the video. So go ahead and download those. Also, if you're interested, I do have a paid membership site that is just for speech therapists, and I am dedicated on this site to providing resources and information to make your job easier. I hope that this speech therapy productivity hacks video series will make your job easier, but I have so much more to offer. So head on over to the webpage to check that out. You can go to speechandlanguagekids.com/TSTS, that stands for the Speech Therapy Solution, which is the name of that paid membership site. I'd love to see you on the inside. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day.